Atlantic Mechanical University. This is a continuing education courses that we offer here at Atlantic Mechanical in Weymouth, Mass. Today we are going to be doing Lockout Tagout training. Now, Lockout Tagout training is a very, very important safety mechanism in our industry, and for several reasons. We're going to get into what it is, why we need it, okay, what it is, why is it necessary, when is it necessary, where is it used, okay, and there's a whole bunch of things. Now, every vehicle in our fleet is equipped with a Lockout Tagout safety kit, such as this. It's in a box, it's dedicated, it's got compartments in it for everything, and we're going to go through the various components of this box. So, let's start right at the beginning. What is Lockout Tagout? Does anybody here know? Okay. Lockout Tagout is a safety requirement where we put in a lockout tag. We want to lock out a piece of equipment. Say we're working on a fan somewhere, okay? And the disconnect is not right at the fan. Most fans, we're lucky, have a disconnect right near them, but not all do, and it doesn't matter. Someone could walk by and you have your hands on a fan and somebody comes by and says, oh, this is off, and turns it on while your hands are in there. So it's very important that we do a couple of things. Now, one is you need to identify this is a lockout tag, can only be removed. Now, this is just a tag. This doesn't really prevent anything from happening. Okay? This padlock right here, or the special Lockout Tags padlocks, will prevent something from happening. Now these locks are special locks with special keys, and only the people that have this lockout kit have the keys. So when you're working on something, say you're working on a fan up on a roof and the disconnect is far away. What if it's down below? Somebody walks by and says, ooh, this is off, turns it on, and your arms are in that fan. Okay? So we're at the source of the electricity, the source of the power. You need to lock this out. This explains, you know, down for maintenance, working on this, don't turn it on. This lock prevents that from happening. This is the fail-safe. Okay, this is the warning, this is the fail-safe. So we want to make sure we do this. Now, because at some point in time you can be working on a fan and the fan gets turned on and somebody loses a finger. Right? So we don't want that to happen. Why is this necessary? Well, for obvious reasons. Your safety, the safety of others. This is not limited to electricity either. We're talking about simple, basic, simple things like a disconnect. You all know the disconnects have a place to put a padlock. Every disconnect we have with a lever on has a place for a padlock. This is why that's there, and this lock will go in it. Okay, so this is why we do that. Okay, when is it necessary? Anytime you're working on a piece of equipment, it's for your safety. Okay, safety of your co-workers. You get your arms in something, and you don't want that to turn on for any reason. You make sure that, and this is proof positive that this interrupts the current on an electrical. What if you're working on a steam pipe for some reason? Say you got a unit heater that's steam, and you have to change the control valve. Right? Steam will really do a job on you, correct? So say there's a ball valve on the steam. Somebody walks by, they're cold, feels the pipe because it's been off for a couple hours. It's cold. It's cold over there. I'm just going to turn the steam on and you get it in the face. Right? This will lock a ball valve. Clamp it around, turn the valve off, clamp it around the handle and the valve body, put this in, and it locks. You can lock it in place, and away you go. Now you're safe. Put your padlock in there, lock it. No one can turn that valve on without the key to this lock. That's you. Or your partner. And if you have a partner, you have to get all in the same channel, okay? Sometimes there is no direct disconnect somewhere. I mean, it does happen. Okay, have you ever seen a fan or something, a piece of equipment that doesn't have a disconnect on the side? It just runs off a circuit breaker, such as a reach-in refrigerator or something like that that doesn't have a big bulky disconnect on the side. You can then use these to lock out a circuit breaker. You put that over the circuit breaker, put it in, and then you can lock that in, and of course it's got the tab for you to lock so that somebody can't just, and you never know that somebody would come by and see that and say, wait a minute, and rip that off and turn it on. The odds of that happening are very small. Do you want to take that chance with your hands, or your eyes, or any part of your body, or any part of your co-worker's body? You don't want to do that. So, where is it used? Everywhere. Everywhere you go. Anytime you have to shut down a piece of equipment, it should be locked out and tagged out. Okay, for any, even if it's only for a minute. Okay, because that's all it takes. Okay, we had a guy here get a boo-boo a little while ago because it only takes a minute. So we want to make sure we do that. Okay, so the term lockout tagout is the energy isolating devices shall be performed when maintenance services are done on machines or equipment. Okay, this should be done by employees who have received proper training. That's why we're here now, so we know how to do this. And lockout procedures from environmental health and safety, this is an approved class. Okay, employees observing a machine, piece of equipment which is locked or tagged shall not attempt to start this. Don't bypass this stuff. Don't you be the one that rips this thing off the circuit breaker. It's there for a reason. So that's the importance of the tag. Who put that there? When? Why? How? How long do they expect it to be down? You can erase these. You write these on with a marker and erase them. We got several of them. And you put that right around everything. Tie wrap it on there. Put it on your padlock. There's ways to attach this, just so when somebody comes by and sees this lock, they know why. So let them know, because they're not always, a lot of times, like you say, you could be up on a roof and the power supply could be down 2 stories, a story, whatever, not inside of you. So we want to do that, okay? They need to have the protective warning. Everything in this kit is OSHA certified, so you don't have to worry about making sure it has the right warnings and stuff on there. But in general, everything needs to be marked. I've seen people use cardboard over the years and stuff like that. As long as they have the right writing on it that says do not operate, at least it's some sort of degree of safety, okay? So again, it's the importance of this is to do all that. These lockout tags, now this one comes with this would be for a gate valve handle. Gate valve, the round handle. You can put that over the handle of the valve, lock it, and it'll just spin. The valve won't open, it'll just spin around the handle. Okay, or if it's too big of a handle, you can take that off and put it around the packing gland. That's, again, it's safety. If this doesn't fit, directly, or if you have more than one person working on it, use this. Okay? Who here knows why there's so many holes in this? Anybody? Why is there 6 holes in this?
Multiple locks.
Okay? And again, for our intents and purposes, probably not going to be used that often, but say 2 of you are working on something. You have your own locks. Okay? You each put your own lock on there. Then when you get together, you can take your locks off. That way there, if it's just locked, and you unlock it and turn it on while one of your coworkers is still on there, not knowing, or miscommunication or whatever, okay, that eliminates this. So When you do it, you can do that, put that in there, or you can tie wrap it in there, use your padlock and lock it. Okay? Well, it's very important. Again, this is all for safety. Anytime you use these, if you're running out of these, running low of these, let supply know, you'll get new ones. Okay? But don't be afraid to use these. You need them on every job. Okay? A lot of the lockout safety has to do with like plant maintenance and things like that, big plants where there's shift changes or something like that. And that's another reason they have this. So say one of you is working on it during the day shift, but it's not done yet, and then the night shift comes by, he'll put a lock on it. Okay? Then you guys communicate and figure out when it's done and when it's ready to operate. But until you've done that, nobody could turn that piece of equipment on. So, any questions so far on anything? Okay. So lockout is the actual lock. Okay, that is the lockout, that is the fail-safe. Tagout is this part. Okay, really you want to have both. Okay, you don't want to just lock something and not put a tag, and you don't want to just put a tag and not have a lock. Because if I just put that on something, somebody will walk by and turn it on, not even realize it, not even care. Oh, this has been there, whatever, I'm turning this on. Okay? So the whole purpose of this, again, is for your safety. These lockout kits are very handy to have. And we will keep them. And again, there's keys to the locks. We urge you to keep keys to the locks in these compartments here. And those compartments, all right, these boxes have different compartments for that reason. Okay, they have a little tray in them for all your open locks and things. There's plenty of locks in each box. Okay, you have multiple locks, so you can work on more than one piece of equipment at a time, which is nice. Or, okay, so locks and tags for equipment or circuit breakers obviously indicates someone's working on it. The unit's off for a reason. Sometimes, again, we prefer to use the lock. Sometimes only the tag can be used. It happens. What's the best way around that? Anybody? If you can only use the tag. For some unknown reason, you can just use this tag and you can't lock it for some reason.
You found that the technician worked.
Right, the buddy system. Very good. Okay? You really don't want this equipment on if you're working on it for any reason. Okay? So, who's authorized to put these tags on?
The technician.
Right?
Works on the equipment.
Qualified, yep. Okay. We have different things. We have authorized, effective, affected. Who's the affected piece? You're authorized. Who's affected?
Customer.
Guy on the other end, guy looking for his air. Right? Okay? So, you got to look at that. The sources of hazardous energy are, you ready for this? There's some cool stuff here. Obviously electricity, okay? Hydraulic or pneumatic. You don't run a whole lot into that. Steam, that's very common. Suspended objects, okay? Mechanical things, and radiation. We don't do too many nuke houses around here, so I think you're good there. So the thing we want to do is, what we're doing now is we've established an energy control program that ensures only trained, authorized workers isolate equipment or machinery from energy sources, among other requirements. This is not the only thing you need to do, but this is what you need to do for this, okay, for this series. We are providing training to all workers, and and the other thing is, these kits need to be inspected regularly. So you have to inspect these on your own, and they will be inspected for you periodically also, along with, along with your truck inspections that we do for everybody. So, okay. So the purpose of this is, the purpose of lock and tag is to prevent unwanted startup of equipment during repair and maintenance. Okay, violating that lock and tag can cause injury or death. Okay, we like you all. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Okay, are you an authorized worker, affected worker, other worker? What are the things you want to look for? If the employee is an affected or other worker, it's their responsibility to what? Don't touch nothing. Leave the locks, tags alone. Okay? You can instruct people that if you go to a place and you work and you're putting, say, you go over and say, I've locked this out, do not touch it. When I'm done, I will unlock this. Okay? People, unfortunately, there are people out there that really don't care and they don't read signs and they, they want something, they're going to figure out a way to get it. Okay? We don't want that to happen, okay, at your expense. Okay? The types of energy and hazards of specific lock devices will depend on the workplace. Again, for our intents and purposes, they're fairly simple. They're electricity, they're steam. Every once in a while, it could be hydraulic or pneumatic. You want to make sure that the locks are sturdy enough to necessitate removal by excessive force. You want them to be marked with, you want them to be marked properly. These are lockout locks. These are obviously marked properly. They're not to be confused with a lock that you lock your toolbox with or a ladder, anything like that. They are there for a specific purpose. Okay? Different key for each lock. Why is that important? Go ahead.
So that no one else can open that lock.
Right. No one else can walk by and say, oh, I have the key. Say your partner walks by and doesn't know why that's there. Okay? The tags are very self-explanatory, though. It writes something in there. Do not energize, do not open, do not close. Do not remove this lock. It's all fairly common sense stuff. Okay? So the whole thing you should follow is there's 8 steps to this. So the whole program itself is based on 8 steps. Okay, step 1 is a detailed procedures for equipment. Okay, you begin by making sure you've identified equipment correctly and accurately, including the specific location. Very simple. Next thing you want to do is determine the correct procedure for shutting down the equipment and restarting it. Okay, does the disconnect work, or do you have to do somewhere else? Is there a motor starter somewhere? Is there a VFD? You have to explore all that. Okay. Detail the procedure step by step in writing if you have to. It's a good idea. Put down, especially if you're in a place you've never been before, or there's multiple levels. Where did I go? Where did I leave that lock? Okay? How many times do you leave your screwdriver behind, forget where you put it? You don't want to do that to your safety. Okay? You want to be very specific, be ambiguous, because ambiguous language could lead to incorrect or dangerous actions. We don't want, so be specific. Okay? Step 2, notify the affected employees. So if you're at a restaurant and you're shutting down their exhaust fan for something, you better let the kitchen staff know. Okay? For maintenance, let all the employees affected should be notified. Don't just tell one guy who may not speak English or may not speak the same language the other people are, or whatever. Let them all know, and let the manager on duty know. Okay? If they have to curtail their work process or whatever, they'll let you know. Give them, ample time to do that if they have to switch from one hood to another or use a different grill or whatever. So just let them know. A lot of that is just being, cooperative and polite. Okay. The next step, step 3, make sure you shut the equipment down properly. Okay. It's not always just boom, throw that switch. Like we say, if we have a VFD or something like that, it needs to be shut down properly. Same thing with a valve or something like that. Okay, same thing with a steam valve. Does anybody ever turn on a steam valve? Do you know how to turn on steam to something? Right? right? Wrong. That is not how you turn steam on to anything. When you cut in a steam line, and that's what turning on means, you open the valve and you crack it. You let the pipe heat up. Let the steam just go, okay? Let that heat up. It's going to take a little while. Let that thing go, and then you can start slowly opening that valve till it's about halfway. You'll feel it, and then once it's good and hot and the steam's going, then you can open it all the way. We don't just go by and open a steam valve. Why? Anybody know why? Bonus points. Go ahead.
You can go beer.
Because you can get burnt from it.
Well, you can get burnt from, but what happens? That pipe has condensate in it. Condensate is water. It'll hit that. You ever hear of a steam hammer? Water hammer?
And then it goes bang.
Bang! You could break something. If the pressure is right, or the fitting is weak, or something, that could break. Okay? Always preheat a steam pipe before you open it up. Okay, step number 4. Disconnect all primary energy sources. Okay? Self-explanatory. Once again, be detailed when a primary energy source includes electricity, steam, water, gas, compressed air, and others. Do not assume that the person performing the maintenance will know the correct procedure. So make sure you double check all this. Step 5, real important. Address all secondary sources. Make sure it's not being fed by something else. Okay? Sometimes, like you work on a rooftop unit or a split system, it could have its own power source. And just because it's on a split system, the indoor unit is off, the outdoor unit can still run. Okay? That's what that means. So we want to do that. Okay? Step 6. Verify the lockout. Double check it. It doesn't hurt to go back one more time. No one's going to yell at you. Check it. Make sure it's safe. Okay? You don't want anything to unexpectedly start. You know, once you verified the lockout is okay, then you're okay to look. Okay. Step number 7. You want to. This one doesn't really apply to us too often, but keep it enforced during shift changes. Again, self-explanatory. If person A is leaving for the day and person B comes on, go over it with them. Okay? Again, this really doesn't apply to the work we do, but this is more like for in-plant maintenance. Okay? Step 8. Bring the equipment back online. Again, we talked about this. Make sure it's started properly. Don't just throw the switch. A lot of times you'll throw a switch and nothing happens. Why? Anybody? Time delay?
Well, you could have shorted something.
Could have shorted something. Could be a time delay. You actually have to make sure the equipment is started properly and it's running. Okay? We don't want to go back after you guys have worked on something and they'll say, oh, this air conditioner's down, this fan isn't running. We'll go back and either find a disconnect off or a disconnect on and a switch somewhere else off. Do it right. Make sure you got it. Okay? You want to check, make sure if it's a VFD, make sure that that's operating properly. You know, take a couple of minutes, make sure whatever you're working on is running properly, whether it's a valve, a unit heater, make sure that thing's heating, the fan comes on. Okay, because on a unit heater, they have a control on an aquastat usually, or a thermostat, or both. The aquastat will not allow the fan to run unless there's heat available. So like in the summertime. You never see a unit heater running in the summertime because of that aquastat. The aquastat set it, say, like 140, 150, whatever they want it at. Okay? If it's lower than that, the fan locks out. It just won't run. So make sure there's heat. Make sure that everything is running. Make sure every step is followed. Don't just turn the thing on and walk away from it and say you're all set. Watch it work. Okay? Bonus. This is a bonus step. Everybody likes a bonus, okay? And this is more for us on our end, and that, keep the equipment procedures and, review them. They change over time, so we got to do this more often. This is not the only time we'll do this. We'll review these classes over and over again. If you feel you need extra training on them, by all means, we'll provide that for you, okay? But again, this is lockout, tagout. This is a very important thing that we work with every day, and it's so easily taken for granted that it can be overlooked and somebody can get hurt. And that's the end game here, is so nobody gets hurt. Okay? Any questions on lockout, tagout at all? Okay, well, I want to thank you all for taking this class, and I appreciate it.